I'm Jack, and welcome to Jack Bell's Underwater Photography, Episode 1, Choosing Your First Underwater Camera. So here we have two different camera systems. Point and shoot, like this Olympus TG4, or DSLR, like this Nikon D7200. There are also mirrorless systems, which are somewhere in between, or they can be like the A7 R2, the equivalent of the Nikon DSLR as well. So let's first of all look at the point and shoot, the Olympus TG4. This is a nice small compact system. It's light and easy to use. It's also relatively cheap compared to the DSLR setup. So the camera is going to cost you somewhere in the region of $400. I think the new TG5 is a little bit cheaper than that. And then to add a housing is going to cost you maybe $300 or $400. And there are also plenty of options to extend. So for instance, you might get a tray, an arm, and a strobe to increase the power of your flash. And this sort of setup's around $300. Or you go for this sort of setup, a more powerful strobe, these sorts of arms which are more flexible, and a suitable tray, you're going to be talking upwards of $500. The DSLR, this is a much larger system, as you can see. It's much heavier as well. So this takes much better picture quality, but there's a much steeper learning curve if you've never used a DSLR before. The camera itself is, you can pick some of these up for around $1,000, and the housing, this one is a CNC, this one would be around $2,500. So considerably more, a considerably bigger investment than for your point and shoot. Then obviously things like the strobes and the handles, the focus lights, that can add another $1,500 or even more, depending on exactly which options you take. Mirrorless, such as the Olympus OMD series or the Panasonic GH series, these are somewhere in between, so a little bit more compact than the DSLR and a little bit larger than the point and shoot. Cameras will be typically between $500 and $1,000, although the latest EM1 Mark II is around the $2,000 mark. And the housings, again, if you go for an Olympus housing, then they're relatively cheap, around $400, starting from around $400. But if you get a Nauticam or CNC housing like this, which is made of metal, then you're really talking about similar sorts of pricing to the DSLR. So with the housing with ports, will start at around $1,500. Let's have a closer look now at the TG4. So what I'm going to do is show you how to put the underwater modes on. So if we click to the left now, we're going to show you, the first one is snapshot. So that's for the pool or snorkeling. Then wide 1, and you can zoom and take your focus and take your shot. We're going to now quickly go back up and select wide 2. With wide 2, this doesn't have the zoom capability, so this is really more for something like when you see a turtle and you want to take a quick shot, so you don't have to worry about focus. Then the last one on the underwater menu is macro. A macro allows you to really zoom in to smaller subjects, so you can see it automatically sets you up with the zoom straight away, so you can get really close and then take your shot. The last setting is the microscope setting. So if it's right next to the underwater on the mode, so if we select microscope, now we can actually go in and it's already zoomed in and we can take our photo, but you can see it's quite sensitive to light. And there's that photo. One of the things microscope doesn't do, it doesn't give you automatic flash, so you have to add that back in and then half press the shutter button, and then when you get the photo, take the picture. Just quickly show you those two photos. That was the microscope without the flash, and then you can see when you add the flash in, you get a much more vibrant picture. The TG4 is depth rated to 15 meters, but if you want to go deeper, you're going to need a housing. This housing is rated to 40 meters. The key thing is to know where all the different buttons are, because they may be in different places. So that's the on-off button. Here's how to zoom in and out, and then click the lever to take a photo. So quite simple. Here's the mode dial, and here are the buttons. They're all at different heights to make them easier to push underwater. The key thing is to be able to understand how to use your camera properly underwater to change the settings quickly. So for instance, if you're in macro mode and you see a turtle, you know how to change it into wide angle. Now let's have a look at some of the results of using the TG4 underwater. Here's me diving with my Nikon D7200, but all the photos you're going to see are from with the TG4. Many photographers chase their subjects. It's important to be patient and let the subjects come to you for the best shots, otherwise all you ever see are tails. If you're too far away, all your photos will look blue, so you need to get closer so your strobes can light up your subjects properly. The internal flash isn't very powerful, so for the best wide angle results, get close and stay shallow. If you stay close to macro subjects, you can get fine details such as hair, or really focus on the key parts of the critter you're trying to get, even if it happens to be hiding in a bottle. The microscope feature is really great, especially if you add the flash, and then you can see even the eggs of the clownfish. And once you get to know your camera, you can really focus on your composition. Well, I hope you found that interesting. This is Jack from Jack Bullen Underwater Photography. Please tune back for further episodes.